Hare Krishna. So today I have been told to speak on the topic for Bhakti Yogis, wealth of good health. To speak this topic in such a short time is a challenging job, especially what is the role or importance of good health for Bhakti Yogis and people in general. Actually, when I see the people in the world today, I remember that saying where it is said that I spent my whole health to earn the wealth, and then later on I spent the wealth to earn the health, but in the end I had nothing. So I am happy to be with you today on 13th November 2020. It has been declared World Ayurveda Day on the occasion of Dhanvantari Trayodashi. We call it Dhanateras, but it is Dhanvantari Trayodashi. Actually, one saint in Bhakti tradition, Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur, he said for practicing Bhakti Yogi, first he should take care of his health, then sadhana, and then preaching. Certainly he didn't mean that preaching is not important or sadhana is not important, but he gave us an idea of a priority, because for a sadhak Bhakti Yogi, if health is not good, he gets disturbed mentally. His spiritual enthusiasm also many times goes down, and at the same time he can't do proper sadhana and also preaching. So if we see, certainly health is a material aspect of a material body, still, till we are in this material body, it plays a vital role for us to perform our sadhana and preaching, seva. So actually, as a Bhakti Yogi, certainly, most of us have read Bhagavad Gita some way, little bit or thoroughly, and many of us might be sometimes speaking about Bhagavad Gita to others. But in Bhagavad Gita, Krishna has hinted about the health aspect also. There are few verses, quite few. And somehow that I have found, because I am also practicing Bhakti Yoga for say past 20 plus years, and I found that many Bhakti Yogis, many people in the world, they forget or neglect, somehow that they don't follow these principles of Bhagavad Gita about good health. There are many points. Certainly today, I cannot discuss the whole of Ayurveda, or I don't aim that you become, or every one of us should become Ayurvedic expert. No. Everyone cannot become expert in every field. But at the same time, what I find today in people in general, and especially spiritual people, is whatever basic common sense we require to know about Ayurveda, we require to know about how to maintain our health, is lacking amongst the people, among the yogis. I don't say just by knowing these principles and following these principles, we'll never have a disease. Birth, old age, disease, death is a part of this world. But certainly we can avoid getting into serious illnesses because of our foolish mistakes done in this life. Sometimes people think that Ayurveda and its principles are too restrictive. We can't eat tasty food, some bitter medicines are there. No, actually, Ayurveda says that it is meant for those people who want to live a normal life in the sense those who don't want to become a sadhus or sannyasis, who want to enjoy this life. Ayurveda actually teaches us how to enjoy this world, even tasty foods, but in the right time, right season, right quantity and right type of tasty foods. Ayurveda is not against tasty foods. People generally when they think of Ayurveda, they think, no, we have to eat boiled things and all this. No, it's tasty foods. But right type of foods, right timing, right quantity and right season. That is what Ayurveda teaches us. And maybe I would like to discuss that something today. At the same time, if we set a goal in our Bhakti Yogi's life that I want to attain the wealth of good health or any goal in our life, first of all, we should be serious about it. We should be consistently striving to achieve that goal progressively. Not that we have just one day some enthusiasm and we just do something and after 2 days we again. Slow and steady wins the race. Good health or wealth of good health doesn't need some complicated changes, doesn't need some drastic change in our life, but small, important and simple changes in life can make a wonderful difference. If we do it consistently for a few months, at least few weeks, and then it's to your lifelong habit. I would like to point out that today. So if we are serious about it, serious about anything, first we should know it properly. We should know the right means to achieve that, and then we should strictly adhere to whatever we have learned in our life. It should not be just passing habit, passing fashion. Before going ahead in our life and in our discussion today, I would like to point out a very important thing which I feel somehow there is so much intelligent, educated class of people even are doing such a foolish mistake. I would like to call it illusion of advertisement. Illusion of advertisement. I actually become aghast or wonderstruck when I see intelligent people, well-educated people, scholarly people, experienced people. They just decide what they should do, what they should eat, what they should live, where they should go, what they should wear, just based on the advertisements going on in this world. For me personally, I can just say one sentence and stop the topic of advertisements. I would say you should not decide what you should do, where, go, eat, think and all these things, or even have some instruments or gadgets, whatever it may be. One should not take life decisions based on advertisements. It will spoil his life. Yes, advertisements have something good in it. They tell you what you don't need and what you should not take it. They have some that good part. When I see advertisement, I decide I will I will not buy it just for the sake of buying it. First, let me have a need of something, and then I will look out what product or what is the solution for that. Not that I see someone selling some advertisement, some billboards, something on the TV or the newspaper, and then I say I need it. First, let the need be created. Let me feel a need of that in my life, for my profession, for my health. So, please be careful. Don't decide what you eat, drink, sleep, whether you live your life, the clothes you wear, based on advertisement. It will spoil your health, wealth, profession, relationships, everything. So please be careful from that. Then we move ahead. Because when we talk about Ayurveda and wealth of good health, if we see Ayurveda, it's very wonderful. It gives the principles, but we have to be very intelligent how to apply it individually. You can't say this is good for you. No. We have to see what that person does as his profession. If he is a labor, it has to be different. If he is a software engineer, it has to be different. If he is a housewife, her needs are different. His needs are different. They are different in different seasons, different times of the day. You need something in night, something in day, something in winter season, something in summer season. For example, in one of the allopathic textbooks or so-called modern science textbooks, I don't call it modern, but that subject textbooks, somewhere I read once it is mentioned that one should take 30 ml of water per kg of body weight. If we go by that calculation, it means a person of 70 kgs should drink around 2 liters of water. But that is not simply possible in the sense a 70 kg person in the winter season, in the summer season, in the rainy season, a 70 kg person sitting in an AC room, doing a labor's job or doing some another clerical job, they will require in different seasons, different job, different activities, different age, will require different quantities of water. You just can't make it 30 ml of water per kg weight. Ayurveda cannot do that. It will give you a principle. And that principle has to be applied individually and seasonally and considering the various aspects, which part of country you stay, which part of the world you stay. You have to think in that terms also. Sometimes people say, some people may be from Gujarat, Rajasthan, they think the summer season that rab is good. Some people say idli sambar is good. No, sorry. Everything can be good and everything can be bad. You have to apply the principle based on your location, season, timing, age, activity, everything. But the principles are same. I want to, because I see in this world even people claiming on the naturopathy, this is good for you. We cannot make a general statement. We can give a general principle. It has to be applied individually. So because even in today's world, there are many such topics going on. Everyone should do this according to Ayurveda. Sorry. Nothing can be like that. Yeah, there can be common principles, like for example water. How much water we should drink? Simple answer. I give a seminar on it a different way. I call it body speaks. I am not going to do that here. But how much water one should drink? He should drink when he feels thirsty. How much he feels thirsty? Simple. That's what Ayurveda instructs us. Yeah, it gives another few instructions about water. Okay, the topic has come, I will mention it. We should not drink water immediately after meals for an hour. We can have a little bit sip by sip in between the meals. There are few other principles because I think I cannot mention all the principles today. But I want to make a point that Ayurvedic principles have to be applied individually, seasonally, professionally, in whatever way, activities you do, what is your age, everything. A normal lady will have a different requirement, a pregnant lady will have a different requirement, a lactating lady will have a different requirement. You can't make a general statement. It's not possible. Sorry. So anyway, the principles are common. So I move ahead. In the short time today which I have, I cannot share much, but I can say when we face any situation in life, it's our duty, whatever you may be a very busy person, it's our duty to look out for solutions, angles, directions, guidance, first from Ayurvedic principles, for any problem, any disease, any situation about health. We have to exhaust all the Ayurvedic options, and if we can't do anything, then certainly we can go for the other options which are available in this world. We have to have that attitude. Then only we can lay our hands on the diamond-like instructions of Vedic principles. If you don't have that enthusiasm, don't have that determination to search out, to look out for that, yes, you have time, we all have time. Just like we find out time for so many things, we find out time to get admission to our child in the school, we have to find out time for this also. It's possible for everyone. 95% of people can do it. So when we face a situation in life about health, first look out for all the options, exhaust them available in Ayurveda. And then certainly we can go for other options. One principle I would like to share today with all of you is please lead a life closer to nature. Everything. Your food, your sleeping habits, your eating, your drinking, your sports. Yeah. Anything should be closer to nature. Your entertainment. As less unnatural things in your life. Your water pot or water bottle, your vessels, your clothes. Let's make a conscious change to have more cotton clothes than the artificial ones. Yeah, why not? Simple change, but it will certainly help us. I know those who are working will find it really difficult, but those who are not working or those who are self-employed, let's make our life and its activities arranged as per the cycle of the day and night. That means when the day starts at 6 a.m. approximately, we start our activity, and when the day sets, sun sets at 7 p.m., we end our activities. If we can manage our lifestyle in that way, it will be a wonderful thing. We can. We have to just have determination. I will do like this, and then the things fall in place. We just don't understand the importance of it. If you want to have wealth of good health, somehow or other, slowly, maybe I take a small step today, another small step after 1 month. But please know, try to eat, sleep, wear, entertainment, everything. Don't just do these things because they titillate your senses or they are shown in the advertisements. Do things like the time you wake up, before sunrise you wake up, after sunset sometime you sleep. Eat when the sun is powerful and strong. See, I'll just give that point is going to come ahead, maybe I will speak at that time. So, I will just share one example of what I do in close to nature. Like the place I stay, I have some mango trees around me, even banana trees. So we have two options. First, I can put some chemicals in the trees or on the trees, and when I get the fruits, I can put some chemicals to make them ripe or whatever it may be. In that way, I will get the fruits when I want. That is not close to nature. Here what I do, I wait. The fruits come on the trees, in due course of time they get ripened. So when the nature gives me those fruits, I eat it. I become subordinate to nature, and that is a natural life. Not that I want to make nature subordinate to me. It will bounce back to us in a harder way. So please just look, like I was mentioning, that will come in the just few minutes from now. What is good? Idli is good, or paratha is good, or rice is good? No, it depends on where you stay. It depends on what season it is. It's just some people, South Indian people may say rice is good, appam is good, North Indian may say paratha is good, Maharashtrian may say puran poi is good. No, sorry. Don't make such egoistic and bodily decisions or universal ones. No. About natural things, be natural. Means you observe. See, if you are in a place, you drink, you breathe the air where you are staying. You sleep on the ground where you are staying. You drink water at least from somewhere nearby you, from a well or a bore well, or even if it is piped water, that piped water has come from maybe 50-100 kilometers around you, not from 5,000 kilometers or 2,000 kilometers. So eat food that grows around you. Simple. Eat fruits, vegetables, grains that grows around you, maybe in 100 kilometers distance, maybe 200, 500 kilometers distance, but not 5,000, not 2,000. Our body can't adjust to that. That food may be very wonderful over there. When you go and stay there, you have that. That is what I would like to mean. Like you think in those directions, where some people say, no, we are from North India or the Bengal, Bihar, UP area, so that mustard oil is very good, or even Punjab, like that. Again, it may be good when you stay over there. When you stay, because right now I am speaking from a Konkan region, like Maharashtra, Goa, that area, coastal area. Here coconut oil is good. It is more abundantly available, and also tea oil grows over here. Use that. Simple. When I might go and settle myself in Bengal or UP or Bihar, I should shift to mustard oil. We have to see what grows around us, what is around us. We should have time for that. We should take out time for that. And we should change our habits, lifestyle that way. Yeah. About intelligent eating, I will be coming to in few minutes. For example, today what we are doing, Just like in different seasons we have different dress. We have woolen clothes in winter season, raincoats in rainy season, and less light clothes in summer season. Similarly, our body requires different diet in different seasons. And nature provides that accordingly. For example, nature is very intelligent. Mango grows mostly in May in this area of world I am. Eat it that time. Banana grows all throughout the year. Eat it all throughout the year. Don't have that, I want to have that mango in January. Sorry. Nature will bounce back. Nature will bounce back. So, just mention a small point and go ahead. What people are doing today, I wouldn't call it eating, I would call it stuffing. They are eating, stuffing, all types of food items all throughout the year. Again, unnatural. If our year is of 12 months, 4 months summer hot season, maybe like February, March, April, May, in the area where I stay. 4 months rainy season, June, July, August, September. And 4 months a bit of winter, here there is October again, but still October, November, December, January. What the Ayurveda says about generally, it says the 4 months of rainy season is where we should do, like we should eat less, we should do more of fasting. Then 4 months of summer season, we should eat in equilibrium. Normal. Don't need to go less, don't need to have opulent or extravagant food. And 4 months of winter season, you just enjoy your life. Dry fruits and sweets and kheer and everything. Fried items, no problem. 4 months of winter season, we can digest anything, build our body. 4 months of summer season, maintain it. And 4 months of rainy season, give it for purification. And just like, see, our body is like ultimately it's a biological machine. I have seen almost all industries, big or small, they call it shutdown. They give a yearly maintenance servicing gap for the industry. Similarly, our body sees we are just making it work hard and hard and hard and hard and overworking since birth. At least not birth, since we started understanding things, or I would say since we started misunderstanding things. Our body requires servicing, maintenance, off. Just like we require off, or at least a fortnightly off. And maybe 3 days in a year, a bigger off, or vacation. And how to give that? By fasting. Fasting, one should fast at least 20 hours or 1 full day without water at least once in a fortnight. If that's too difficult, just do it with water, a lukewarm water, as less as possible. And 3 days fast per year, at least. We can go more if your age and your health permits that. I personally am doing it, and I see when I perform that 3-day fasting means I drink liquids, I drink some juices, coconut water and like that. All my pains in the body which have come over in the past few months, they just disappear for a month or 2. I personally, you can do it. You can observe such a better changes in your body if you do this servicing, regular servicing in a year for 2-3 days. Start with a day, then 2 days, 3 days. You can go up till 7 days or maybe 9 days, Navratri. So that is important. Now, in the end, before we end, I will come to the topic of having input. People today, allopathy and even Ayurvedic people, they discuss what we should eat, this we should eat, this should not eat. I would like to give a different angle to it. What you eat is important, or I would call it the least important. Yes, what you eat is it is important. It is important, but least important. More important than what you eat is how much you eat. quantity. More important than quantity, how much you eat, is which time of the day you eat. More important than which time of the day you eat is how you eat. And most important is which consciousness you eat. I would like to discuss each of these 5 points with preference of importance for a minute or two and end my discussion today. First, what consciousness you eat is the most important than anything else. What you eat, when you eat. We should always eat when we are in a happy consciousness. We are happy, not that we are under stress and anxiety. No, sorry. Such food will give out the toxins in our body. It won't be digested properly in our body. At least when we are eating, we should be happy. No anxious thoughts. Please. And when we are eating, we should only do the activity of eating. No mobiling, no texting, no IPL, no even any other spiritual movies, videos. While we are eating, be focused. Be grateful, be joyful. Grateful to Krishna, grateful to nature. When we eat food in such a happy mood, you can eat just a very simple food. Prasad, simple prasad. It can work wonders for you. It can work wonders. So most important thing I would like to say today, than what you eat, when you eat, how you eat, is eat in a grateful, joyful mood. Never criticize, never have any negative thoughts, never criticize people, never criticize the food you are eating. There can be more to this, but I would like, as I said, a minute or two for everything. Then, next important thing is how you eat. 2 points I would like to say here, how you eat. First, the mechanical process. The first, chew your food. You might have heard it, but as I said, you try to do it. Just don't hear it and you try to chew your food thoroughly, at least when maybe on a weekly off. You'll be amazed to see if your body gets strength in like this much food. When you chew it thoroughly, it will be equally full and fully regenerated in half of that or less than that. You know, most of you might have heard, we have been told to chew 32 times. At least begin with 16 times. Try, do an experiment. Take one meal by chewing 16 times. You will see you require half the quantity. You better digest it. You feel more energetic after that. You don't feel sleepy and turned out. Please do think about chew your food properly. The best medicine Krishna or God has given us is our saliva, which is so close to us. You don't have to go to any shop. And when you chew your food nicely, lot of saliva goes in. And that can cure 90% or more than that of diseases. Wealth of good health. And those who are elderly and have some knee problem, others should sit down and eat. One thing. Second, when you sit down and eat, or even those who want to sit on chair, don't keep the plate on such a high level. When we eat, we should bend down a little forward. When we sit down, it happens. So there are many more points why we should do it. I cannot say everything. But sit down and eat, or even if you sit on the chair, keep the plate on the equal level. You may not be able to bend your knees, but you can just bend your back a little bit forward. Then, a little less important point than that, but important is when you eat. When you eat, certainly I have already mentioned, eat between sunrise and sunset. After sunset, stop eating, and if you have to eat the most simple items in the least quantity possible. After sunset, stop eating and drinking. You may say we come back home at 8 p.m. I know it's difficult, but if you know I have to do it, you will have to find out the way. Maybe you carry 2 tiffins. One you eat in the office at maybe 12 o'clock, another you eat after you free from the office at 6 o'clock or something like that. Somehow we have to get it done. How? Everyone will have to find out his own ways. And if you feel and if you are habituated after sunset, least possible quantity, simplest possible food, maybe rice dal or a little pulka and some sabji, that's all. Nothing heavy items, no dry fruits, no sweets, nothing. So that, and then because as the, see, if the gas is off and you put a vessel for cooking, will the food be cooked? When the stove is off, the food won't be cooked. And if you keep it like that for maybe 10 hours, it will start decomposing. Similarly, when we put the food in our mouth, after sunset, there is no digestive fire in our stomach. Digestive fire is in our stomach only from sunrise to sunset. So after sunset, when we put the food in our mouth or in our stomach, it doesn't get digested because there is no fire. And it just lies like that and it starts decomposing. So it's that important. Many points to it, but right now this is enough. And how much you eat, that every one of you know. Srila Prabhupada says, half of what is your hunger. Basically, you can eat that much. After you eating, you should be able to do all type of activity. You should not feel a bit heavy. Stomach. You should eat that much. After eating, you should not do it. You should take some rest. But you should be able to do all type of activities. And then the last is what you eat, which is important. Today people are discussing about that. I already told minimum processed, minimum packaged, as natural as possible, and maybe rice, dal, roti, sabji. And you may say, what about so many wonderful pakoras and puris? I would like to tell here, especially in ISKCON where I am, but many other spiritualists also, we have multiple festivals. Like, if there is no lockdown, which is there no, we average Bhakti Yogi I have seen attends, at least in India, he attends 5 Govardhan Pujas, 5 Janmashtami, 5 Gaur Purnimas, and 100 birthdays in a year. So it's too much. It's a, what do you call it, atrocity on the stomach. 4 months of winter season you can eat, enjoy. Yes, you may say other, there are wonderful ways to make simple, healthy foods tasty. I do it. I cannot share it now because of lack of time, maybe some other time. But what I have seen, especially in Bhakti Yogis in ISKCON, in India and outside also, they have too many festivals, too many birthdays, too many Rath Yatras. They should have that, but they should have only too many kirtans in their festivals. But a person I have seen, and most of our festivals are late night, sorry. It's a wrong thing. You have to change. Don't try to change the management. That will change later on. First you change. And I would like to end here with a small conclusion. My purpose of today was not to share the whole Ayurvedic knowledge. My purpose was twofold. To enthuse you to follow the paths and principles of Ayurveda, by which you can easily attain the wealth of good health. They are very simple paths, simple steps, not complicated ones, but important ones. And not that I am going to tell you everything. You have to try to find out, look out at various things. And some people, after hearing all these things, they say, why worry so much? Who worry? Anything what is going to happen is happen. Is it not when we sit in a vehicle, we worry, is the vehicle okay? We worry, is the driver not drunk? And if we find out the driver is heavily drunk, will we sit in the same vehicle? We won't. We'll change. So similarly, why worry? I would say it's like a foolish thought process. I would thank every one of you, especially the management, for giving me occasion to share what I have with you. Hare Krishna. I hope whatever I have spoken has helped you.